Hi, and welcome to Build Tips with Brady Joyner Bricks. For today's topic, I'm going to be teaching you how to build a sphere. These are super fun shapes, very useful, and super practical for building into any type of sculpted build. So as we're getting started with this sphere, I want to teach you a little bit about the history of this. This sphere is called a Lowell Sphere, and that is named after a gentleman named Bruce Lowell, who was a Lego builder who decided that he wanted to figure out how to take those squared off shapes and bricks and make something that was round and that was actually relatively solid. So this design actually comes out of his brilliant mind. And the nice thing is, he taught us how to build a smaller one, that you can take the same concepts for building a small one and build out a much larger one as well. For those of you that have been following along on my Instagram, you may have seen me make use of a lot of these spheres in many of my builds. For example, we've got some solid spheres, like this yellow emoji, this build that includes two spheres in it. So you can see the partial sphere that's the head, and you can also see the sphere that's the world popping out of this beautiful brain. You also may have seen some modifications, like adding the ring around this to make a planet, or potentially making this scary orange. So lots of different ways that you could make use of this in different builds. But I want to teach you the basic components of it so that you can go ahead and create some of your own. So let's get into it. First, let's gather the supplies that you'll need. We are going to be building out a solid sphere. You'll notice that I'm using multiple different colors here. You can use any colors that you would like when building out your sphere. We are just going to be building a multicolored sphere, and that way you'll be able to see all of the steps, step by step in process. You'll need 6 of these 2x2 square plates, 12 of the 1x4 plates, 24 of the corner plates, and you'll need 24 of the jumper plates. So a jumper plate is the length of a 1x2 plate, but it only has one stud opening on top, and that's centered. The reason it's called a jumper plate is so that you can jump the orientation of where you're placing things by half of a module or half of a Lego step. So anytime you connect a jumper plate onto something, you're giving yourself the chance to move things just a half step over as opposed to a full step over. Then for the internal structure of it, you will need 8 Travis bricks. So a Travis brick are these really fun bricks that have studs on 5 different sides. So there's a stud on the top, there are studs on all 4 sides all the way around, and then the bottom is open. And then you will need 4 of these 1x4 plates. Now those are technically optional when building this out, but I like to include them because it helps reinforce the center of the sphere and keeps it a little bit better assembled together. So one other thing that I wanted to mention is that instead of the Travis bricks, if you have these at home, you could use these SNOT bricks that have studs on 2 sides, and it has to be the studs that are on the corner itself. So to give you a visual of what that looks like, it's like this. It has 2 studs, one on the left and then one just right around on the other side of the corner and one on top. And if you rotate it, the other 2 sides are flat, okay? So it's a little bit different of a piece, but that also could work for that internal structure as well. So I'm gonna set those aside because we're not gonna be using them today. We're gonna use the Travis bricks since that's a little bit more common to have in your collection of parts at home. So we'll set aside the internal structure components first, and then we will come back to that later. Now, for starters, take 4 of the jumper plates, 4 of the corner plates, 2 of these yellow ones, and 1 of this orange one. And again, you can use whatever colors you'd like. You're going to take these corner plates and you are going to put them so that the 4 corners touch each other, and it makes basically like a large plus shape. So once you see that plus sign, that's going to be the direction that you're going to want to go. You're going to take your 2x2 and put it on the center so that it connects all 4 of those corners together. And that gives you the starting component. So you'll see here what that looks like. Next up, you are going to take the 2 1x4 plates and you are going to place them on the left side and on the right side so that they are centered underneath the 2 of the sides of the plus sign. Okay, so again, I'll show you. This is what that looks like. If we flip it over on the other side, you can see how they fit underneath. Next up, we are going to take the jumper plates. Using that stud that's on top of the jumper plate, you're going to attach that on the bottom of this plus shape that's sticking out. So you should have some of the color of that jumper plate sticking out underneath. So once I assemble one of these, you'll see this is the front side. Again, you can see only a half length of that lime green sticking out from underneath that we have here. And then if we were to flip it upside down, you'll notice on the reverse side exactly what that looks like as well. Okay, So now that you've done that, you're going to do it 5 more times. So make 5 more of those so you have 6 identical shapes. All right, so we have our 6 sections of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yay! And as you can see, I'm going to flip over so that you can see on the opposite side what they look like. I'm going to flip them all back over. So I'll just show you closer to the camera. Here's one on the reverse side, on the front and on the back. And that way you see what they look like when you are building them out. Now, let's take these and let's flip them so that every other one is a different direction. So you'll notice the first one is up and down with the lime green. The next one is left and right, then up and down. Then we come to this next row, left and right, up and down, left and right, or horizontal, vertical. This is going to help us when putting all of these pieces together. Next up, we are going to start on the internal structure. So for the internal structure, like I mentioned, these red pieces are optional. You don't have to use them, but I do find it helpful to go ahead and keep the Travis bricks in place. So you're going to attach these so that you have 2 Travis bricks, one on each corner, one on each side of these 1x4 plates. So there's 1, there's 2. You're going to need 4 of these total. 3 and 4. And actually for this 4th one, I am going to change it up and show you if I were to use the corner bricks that I showed you before, those corner SNOT bricks, how those would work. That way, if you have those parts at hand, you can make use of those instead. So essentially, you want 4 of those that are basically all the same. In my case, I have 3 the same and then 1 that's slightly different, just using those corner bricks. But again, they work either way around. And you're going to take the first one, and we are going to attach it to the back side of one of these guys. So, looking at the yellow plate that we have here, that 1x4, we are going to attach the Travis brick sideways so that it attaches to that yellow brick. And you'll notice once it's attached, the red plate is underneath it, kind of on what's going to be the inside of that circle, and that way it's not sticking out. You don't want it the opposite direction. And then you'll also notice at the very tip top, where that yellow plate lives, is the same spacing and same measurements as where the top of that Travis brick lives. So you want that to be smooth and flat, and that means that you've got it on correctly. So we are going to do that on the other side as well. And this one, we're going to flip the opposite direction, again, so that those red plates are pointing towards each other on the inside of that structure, okay? So here comes the fun part. So again, I picked up my first one, which was vertical. Now I'm going to pick up the horizontal one, and I'm going to attach these 2 parts of these 2 yellow plates to these 2 parts of the Travis brick that's sticking up, okay? So what I mean by that is I'll attach it on top like this so you can see here. Hopefully you can see underneath as well how that works. But I'm also going to show you here, if I can. You'll notice how that Travis brick is attached on the side and above to the yellow. Okay, it's kind of confusing. There we go. That's probably a better view. So that was your first step. Now we're going to add another one of those internal pieces to the piece that you just actually attached there, okay? So now we're going to set this aside, and we are going to take your next vertical one. And on that vertical one, we're going to do the same thing that we did before with attaching the Travis bricks. So again, we'll attach that so that the red is underneath, right? And then we're going to use the corner one, and we're going to do the same thing. And this just shows you either one works. So with that corner brick, you'll notice you just want to make sure that the orientation of where you have those studs sticking out actually matches up, as it would with the Travis brick. With the Travis brick, since it's on 5 of the 6 sides, it's easier to do. But with this corner brick one, you want to make sure that you have them so that one is facing out this way, and then opposite one is facing out the other way. So now that we have this one attached, we are going to go back to our build that we were building, and we're going to take the Travis bricks and plug it in just like we did before. So you'll see these 2 spots here of the yellow plates are going to get these 2 Travis bricks. So let's just show you here. Plug those in there and there. All right, so now we have 3 walls done, and we have this open space here. We want to go to the next one, which should be another vertical one. And here you're going to attach that one to that last open side. You'll notice as you're doing this, if you're doing it correctly, that the reason that it matters if it's kind of up and down or left and right with the lime green, you basically need to rotate it every time you're putting on a wall to make sure that they're going in the opposite directions of the other wall below it. So it's really clear once you get to this step kind of how that's working and if you're doing it correctly, because you'll notice on mine, we've got on this side 2 of the lime green things sticking out from the top, and the other 2 sides just have regular yellow. And the same on the opposite side. The reason for that is, with these last 2 pieces, we've got, again, the 2 lime green sides and also the 2 sides that don't have lime green on it, and that's going to help us with making sure that we're attaching that correctly. So for these last 2 pieces, once we have our basically squared off circle at this point, we are going to attach them on top and on bottom. And again, when you're looking at this, you want to make sure that you're doing it so that it's opposite. So like this wouldn't attach because you would see that those lime pieces are going to bump into those lime pieces there, right? So you need to rotate that. So I'll show you this way. This wouldn't attach like this because those lime and those lime come together. But if you rotate it and then you put it in and push down, it's going to attach perfectly, right? The cool thing is the visual, once you're done with that, shows that there's lime green on all 4 sides. It's just on 2 of the sides it's coming up from the side walls, and on the other one it's coming out from the top wall. Kind of fun. And then we'll flip it over. We will do the same thing with this last piece. Again, aligning it the way that you need to so that it attaches, and you are all set. So now we have our sphere! You did a great job! So now that you've learned how to build your sphere, my challenge to you is to do this in a way that creates something that's recognizable. So not just a round sphere, but how would you do this and build this in a way that it would look like a baseball or a tennis ball? Maybe how would you do this to make it look like an emoji, right? There might be some different things and some different ideas that you can come up with, and I'm super excited to hear from you in the chat. What is it that you built? Or what troubles you're running into so that I can go ahead and help you troubleshoot as well. In future videos, I will teach you how to build a partial sphere using some of these same concepts, but building it out so that it is something like the size of this cookie that could be a fun little shape. And I will also teach you how to build a larger sphere. Thanks again for joining. I hope you learned a lot today in our quick lesson on building a Lowell Sphere. As always, I'd love it if you could like and subscribe and help continue the growth of this channel. This is super fun for me, and I really enjoy teaching other people some cool things. Please drop in the chat, what are some other tips, tutorials, or tricks you would like to see me cover next? As always, whatever you build, build kindness. We'll see you next time.